Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip? Try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
They've won 7 in a row. They've been dominant at Citi Field. Lindor's been insane. Pete Alonso's been raking.
Griffin Canning, David Peterson, those guys have pitched really, really well. And when you put it together with that lineup, especially like you said, Lindor's been great. They've got the makings of something very special in Queens.
Pharrell, coast to coast, only on SportsGrid.
Derek Carr has called it a career after 11 NFL seasons.
I think they knew before the draft that they had to make a move at this point. And by the way, Derek Carr did have a pretty good career. Made as many Pro Bowls as Eli Manning. So based on that, he should go to the Hall of Fame like Eli Manning. Well, Eli Manning does have a couple rings at that point, but always wanted to take a shot at Manning, who should not actually be in the Hall of Fame. Shouldn't be questioned an under 500 quarterback for his career. Stop the Manning.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high, but the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that ring. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of
18.5 point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome in. Game Time Decisions here on this Wednesday in the SportsGrid Network. I'm Joe Raineri, and we are getting ready for not one, but 2 playoff games coming up here tonight. Conference finals it is. One in the NBA is Madison Square Garden. We'll see the New York Knicks trying to advance to can you believe it, the NBA Finals, Game 1 against the Indiana Pacers. And then in Dallas, the Edmonton Oilers and the Dallas Stars will go at it in Game 1. Of course, we did watch both Game 1s last night on the other side of the conferences there with the Florida Panthers, as well as the Oklahoma City Thunder getting it done. So we got a lot to talk about there. We got some great Wednesday night Major League Baseball matchups, not to mention Scotty Scheffler is playing golf again this week, so there's no doubt we should just all bet him and drop it from there. But let's bring in our good friend, Cam Stewart here, who is no doubt getting ready for this Dallas-Edmonton game tonight. I think this is a fascinating series, not like what we just watched last night with Florida and Carolina, because that feels like that's, we know what's going to happen there. But this series, are we getting 7 games? Because it feels like who shows up in this one here, especially tonight.
Very evenly matched, Joe. But for all you guys in the series, if you like Edmonton or Dallas, I think the best way to play it, Joe, is 6 or 7. I can't see any one of these teams winning in a sweep or in 5. And for me, I have futures on Dallas. But if you want to take the Dallas Stars in 6, it's plus 550. That's an incredible price. And in 7 games, it's plus 460. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hit it up twice again. Edmonton's been great. Skinner's been playing well, but you talked about it in the break, Joe. Ottinger, he seems to be getting better every game. And when he lets in maybe not a great goal, he really buckles down when things are tight. And you saw that in the series against the Jets. But Edmonton's better than Winnipeg is. They're a little bit deeper. They got guys like Evander Kane, some sandpaper players, Connor Brown, former Maple Leaf, all their good guys, Joe. Get rid of Hyman and all these other workhorses that the Leafs don't have anymore. They're doing good things for Edmonton. But Dallas, on the other hand, deeper team. They're at home tonight. We saw your Cats absolutely maul the Hurricanes, and God, the Florida Panthers are good. But tonight, I think I'm going to take a shot with the Dallas Stars. I got the cheapest price I can find is $1.38. I also, Joe, contrarian play. The total is 6 to plus money, 6 plus 110. I like under 6 in the game and under 1.5 in the first period. I think these teams are going to feel each other out like a little bit of a boxing fight. But this should be a great series, and I don't see any team blowing anybody away. Like maybe the Panthers winning like 5 against Carolina, but I see this series going 6 or the distance in 7.
And I can, the more I look at it, Cam, I'm kind of with you with the total in this game here tonight, too, because Dallas scored a total of 12 goals in a 6-game series against Winnipeg. And 7 of those 12s came from Rantanen. So what happens if he doesn't score here? Where are the goals coming from for Dallas? Are all of these games feeling like 2-1, 3-2 kind of situations?
I think there's going to be one game where it explodes, like one of those 6-5 games, Joe. But it's funny. All the hockey people were thinking, oh, the Florida-Carolina series is the under series, and this one's the over.
Yeah.
It could work out opposite because right now, Freddie Anderson, he couldn't stop anything. The Cats had pressure on Carolina all night. And I'll tell you one thing, Carolina, you know this too, Joe. Nobody shoots the puck more than these guys. They'll eventually have a 3 or 4 goal night against Florida. The question is, are the Cats going to put in 5 or 6? So this series, I think, could be sneaky unders, right? But there's going to be a game. I don't know. This game could open up. It could be 5-4, but I'm predicting kind of like a boxing fight. You know what I mean? Some jabs, feel it out. Maybe a 1-0 or a 0-0 first period, and then we can attack this game live. But one advantage, Dallas is a better goaltender. Edmonton has a couple more stars. Dallas is deeper. Should be a great series, Joe. I'm looking forward to this one. Let's just say tonight's card with the Pacers and Knicks and Oilers and Dallas was better than the Florida-Carolina / Oklahoma City-Minnesota game. I like the games tonight on the card a little bit better.
I agree. Heading over to the Garden, the Knicks, they were getting money early. It does seem now I'm seeing 4, so it looks like Indiana may be getting a little money late here. And the total, which was bet up as high as 223.5, even 224, starting to get back down now, 221.5, 222. Is this a 6-7 game series here in your mind?
Oh, big time, Joe. And we talked to producer Pat, and this is the thing about these NBA totals. A lot of people, even if you had Oklahoma City last night, a lot of overplayers got slapped, right? We don't know. Totals are very volatile in the playoffs. So I'm more of a sides man than a total, but I think the Pacers can play with the Knicks. This is going to be an interesting game because the Pacers can score inside. They can score outside. They're very, very deep team, longer than people think. So I think Indiana is going to give New York everything they can handle. But Joe, executives, can we get an Oklahoma City Pacer final? And the ratings book comes out. They were these guys. Gabe and I talked about on our show, Indiana's got you. It's like a boxing fight or MMA. You can't leave it up to the judges because these guys, you're going to have to win. New York's probably going to get a few more calls because that's better for business. And as we know, sometimes sports is a business, but I think Indiana to cover tonight, sprinkle on the money line. Not sure about the total. I lean over, but I'll take the 4.5 with the Pacers and plus 160 money line.
Congratulations to SGA, your MVP this year. You just can't give it to, I guess, the Joker every year, even though he deserves it. Cam, we got some golf coming up here. Charles Schwab after the PGA Championship. Guess who? Again, in this tournament, Scotty Scheffler. What are we doing?
This is the best, Joe. I go to my bet boost on my sports book. Scotty Scheffler to win by 3 or more shots, plus 350. He's 250 to win the tournament. I almost wrote a letter, went on to the queue and said, this sucks. Do better. I actually got furious. I'm red now. My blood pressure was boiling. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to take him for one more, plus 350. And he's got to win by 3 or more shots. Screw it, Joe. I got a couple guys that I like. Ryan Ginger on Joe's yacht, 35-1. Hey, we're playing Colonial. Just keep it in play here. This is an old school golf course, so you don't have to be a bomb and gouger here. You need a guy. It's a second shot course. So Aaron Rye at 35-1 looks good to me. The Postman always delivers. Canada Post on strike, but JT Poston delivers 50-1. JJ Spawn, one of Brady Cannon's horses. I like him too. 55-1. Thompson's Water Seal, protect your deck. Great course for this guy too. 60-1. I really like that price. Bud Cauliflower, Joe. Remember good old Bud Cauley, the injury. This guy's actually playing golf when healthy, 80-1. And Cole Kane is back on the mix, 100-1. Carver's got Hoagie Sandwich. We both have Cole and Hoagie Sandwich. Top 10. Let's go for a burger bag. Plus 240 with Daniel Berger. Very popular pick this week, but I'll take him for a top 10. Plays great here before. And some top 20s, Joe. I got Harris English. Surprising second place finish at a major. He came out of nowhere there. Brian Harmon, the little lefty, he can get it around. Plus 190. Ryan Gerard, a North Carolina Tar Heel. The next wave of golf. Watch out for this guy. Top 20s almost every time he tees it up. Plus 210. And Ashke Batea disrespected at plus 230. But you know me, Joe. I love the first round leader market. That's my favorite thing in the world. Carver's got 7 out now. We'll do the same thing. I'm going to start with Tommy Fleetwood. Can he finish? No. Can he start like a quarter horse? Yes. 35 to 1. Rye, 40 to 1. Now we're going to get some bombs here. Ashke Batea, this guy loves Thursdays, 60 to 1. Hoagie Sandwich, 75 to 1. Cam Davis, a notorious hot starter. Cole Kane's back at 85 and EVR. Eric Von Ruin, the big South African, at 95 to 1. Let's hit one of those, Joe, so we don't have to worry about Scheffler on the weekend. Can't this guy just take his kids to Great Wolf Lodge and get out of my life? Like, please take some time off.
Yeah, and it doesn't make a difference. He can pull every tee shot to the left, and it won't matter. You're still not catching him, Cam. It's unbelievable to me. Quite like journalism at the Preakness. In fact, here, get out of my way. I got a race to win. That's exactly Scotty Scheffler. Get out of here, Cam Stewart. You got places to be. We appreciate it as always, my friend. Enjoy the games. Let's cash those tickets. Game Time Decisions continues. Much more to get to coming up next on the grid.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune in to Game Time Decisions weekdays on SportsGrid.
The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
Rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
Just a little flyer, couple of 15.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip, try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
All right, welcome back in Game Time Decisions here on this Wednesday now, May the 21st. Want to thank you so much for stopping by. I'm Joe Raineri, getting ready for a loaded night here. Playoffs, you got to love it. Conference finals here, both in the NBA and the NHL. They will take center stage over the next couple of weeks as we get that much closer to crowning champions, a Stanley Cup champion. Will it be a repeat of a year ago with the Florida Panthers? Will it be a repeat finals of a year ago between the Panthers and the Edmonton Oilers? Well, the Panthers handled business last night in their conference final, game 1 on the road against Carolina. And now Edmonton will have a chance to do exactly the same thing, a repeat of that conference final that went 6 games last season. And then Edmonton eventually losing in 7 games to the Panthers. Will Edmonton and Florida meet up once again? Well, we're going to find out here tonight, coming up in Dallas. Game 1 should be a lot of fun, and also a repeat of what we saw a year ago in the NBA as the New York Knicks and the Indiana Pacers getting ready to do battle here. That at Madison Square Garden coming up here tonight, and Indiana getting a little bit of love in the marketplace. It looks like 4 starting to pop up. It's been 4.5 for the last 48, 72 hours, but it does look like the Pacers are starting to get a little bit of love here. They've been off for a week, so injuries are not a issue here. The Knicks, of course, as much as and as fun as that was watching the Boston Celtics lose, that was a pretty taxing series for the New York Knicks to get over that obstacle, which has always been an obstacle for them over the last couple of years. But they did it. Now the question is, they don't have the depth that the Pacers do. What if this is going to go 6 or 7 games? What are the Knicks going to have left in the tank? That's going to be the big question. But I think this is a pretty important game for both the Knicks and the Pacers to get off on the right foot again. The Knicks at home, that's an advantage. Madison Square Garden will be electric, to say the least, here tonight. But Indiana has shown, if it's anything, the road does not bother them. I don't believe they lost a game against the best team in the Eastern Conference, the Cleveland Cavaliers, in their last series. They had no problem going on the road and handling business. Don't think Madison Square Garden is going to get under them here tonight. I think it's going to be a fun one, but keep an eye. A lot of steam coming in on the under, as this was swollen up to 223.5, 224 earlier today. Nothing but over money, and now we're seeing all that under money coming in right now. 221.5 right now in a number of spots is what we are looking at. So that's going to be interesting. You never know what you're going to get with totals. 2 teams that know each other very well. They've played against one another. There were not going to be any secrets. There's not going to be any crazy plays drawn up here. These guys know what they're all about, which makes determining totals interesting, to say the least, when it comes to the postseason. And now here we are in the conference finals. We do have also some great Major League Baseball games coming up here tonight. Jacob deGrom is in the Bronx as the Texas Rangers looking to bounce back here against the New York Yankees. deGrom has been just absolutely lights out for the Rangers. You wouldn't even know it. He's starting to look more and more like the Jacob deGrom of old. 4-1 on the year, under 2.29 ERA, 0.98 WHIP. He has been unhittable, much like we have always come to know with Jacob deGrom. Yarbrough will be in as the starter here tonight. He's been actually pretty good, the lefty there for the New York Yankees. He has been eating up some innings. Great spot starter for him. And let's face it, the Texas Rangers are not hitting right now at all in any way, shape, or form. Total at 7.5. Can the Yankee bats get to Jacob deGrom when not many other teams have been able to do so here? So that's going to be an interesting one. The New York Mets also are trying to look to do anything they can to score runs. They haven't done a great job of that. The Mets at home are great. The Mets on the road this year are awful, and they have been awful. Last night, the Red Sox get their starting pitcher, Walker Buehler, who hadn't pitched in, a month or so, and he gets thrown out in the 3rd inning, and the bullpen of the Red Sox shuts down the Mets lineup here. The weakest part of what we thought the Red Sox were all about in that bullpen, Mets couldn't hit them. Mets trying to get one here tonight. They just started in that one. The problem is they got to go up against Garrett Crochet, who has former Chicago White Sox phenom. 6.5 is the K number here tonight. As you can tell, the market believes the Mets could very well be in trouble. Well, the Mets have done a really good job of not striking out a whole lot this season. Will they get to Crochet before the Red Sox bats can get to Tyler McGill? That game underway at Fenway. You also have a couple of other games here. Speaking of not being able to put any offense together, man, those Padres, what happened to the Padres? They can't seem to score at all. They're taking on the Blue Jays. Gausman on the hill. That total 9 is interesting, to say the least, considering both of these teams have had some issues scoring some runs. And when you throw Randy Vasquez out on the mound for the Padres, you would think maybe some runs are coming in that game there. But the Padres need to swing the bat better. And how about all of a sudden the Red Hot Angels and the Athletics going toe-to-toe late night? Also, the Phillies taking on the AAA Rockies. That's not their name? Oh, I'm sorry. The Rockies taking on the Phillies a little bit later with Taijuan Walker on the mound for the Phillies. Palmquist on the mound for the Rockies. Will they continue to be awful? Chances are yes. The Braves and Nats were already postponed earlier, but the Diamondbacks and the Dodgers will be your late-night game. Corbin Burns versus May in that one. Dodgers, a slight 140, 145 favorite. Another high total of 9. We'll have much more on the Major League Baseball slate when Game Time Decisions continues on the grid.
Buy or sell, Devers will be traded this season. Let's also not forget that there's $300 million on the table due to Devers, which eliminates him from, what would you say, like 17 teams?
Oh, I would think more than 17, maybe 27. That's a joke, but how many teams could afford him? All right, 5, 6. How many teams needed a third baseman who can't play third base? You know, how many people want to deal with his attitude? He hasn't come off looking good in any of this. Whether you believe he should have anyway, he doesn't look good at this. Will he be traded? No, he won't be traded. The salary alone makes it highly unlikely. He's a great hitter. All right, no doubt he can hit. But other than that, there's too many between the money and the attitude and no really position for him here. He's not getting dealt anytime soon.
Buy or sell, if the season ended today, Hunter Brown would win the American League Cy Young Award.
Hunter Brown has been fantastic. All right, the guy that Craig's teasing, by the way, is Tariq Skubal of the Detroit Tigers here, who's certainly right up there with them. Max Fried for the Yankees has had a fantastic season. They finally lost a start where he pitched in against Seattle the other day. They'd won every start. He's been fantastic. The season ended today. Would Hunter Brown win the American Cy Young Award? I certainly couldn't argue it if he did. That being said, he's going up against Skubal, who won it last year, going up against Fried of the Yankees. My guess is he'll need a year. You understand what I'm saying? He needs a year before he can get that kind of recognition if he's tied with somebody. If he's clearly ahead, then I think he would win here. But as of right now, would he win it? I'm going to say no. I'm going to say it would be probably Max Fried.
Fantasy Sports Today. Weekends starting at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. Only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Time Decisions here on the Sports Grid Network. Getting ready here, just about an hour, a little bit over an hour away from game number 1 in both the NHL, the Western Conference Finals between Dallas and Edmonton, which is shaping up to be one heck of a series, we all believe. And then, of course, at Madison Square Garden, 8 o'clock, we'll have the tip-off between the New York Knicks and the Indiana Pacers. We got plenty of Major League Baseball happening here, and we were just watching as the New York Mets trying to get off the schneid here. They were blanked last night by, I don't know, it felt like 9 pitchers of the Boston Red Sox in that game. It has not been a good stretch. They ended up losing the series to the Yankees in the Bronx. They are now on the verge of getting swept by the Boston Red Sox. Crochet is on the mound, and an interesting stat I was just watching was the fact of just how unbelievably bad Juan Soto has been. Now, we're not even in June yet, so it's not like he's going to be this terrible for the Mets the entire year, although Yankee fans probably hope he is. But 5 for 39, I think, was the stat that I just saw with runners in scoring position with only 1 home run. That is not good. Crochet got him looking in that first at bat. Pete Alonso, same thing. The Mets have got some issues here. We knew the injuries to the bullpen might be a problem. It's not like there's a lot coming unless you think Sean Manaea is going to be some sort of savior for this rotation. The Mets have some issues here. Great start to the season, but you got to ask yourself, was it smoke and mirrors if you're a New York Mets backer here tonight? Will they get swept? Well, they didn't. I believe Lindor was the only guy to get the ball out of the infield against Crochet in this first inning. They are out, no score, and the Red Sox are coming up to plate here. And again, the Yankees taking on DeGrom at the stadium here tonight. Yankees got it done last night. I'm going to be very interested to see with these Bronx Bombers against what is looking like very vintage Jacob DeGrom here tonight. I can't wait to see if they can actually get off. As you can see, 6.5. The market is kind of undecided here on whether or not we believe DeGrom can go over that. I would not sweat out an under in the strikeout prop against this Yankees team. As much as I appreciate the Yankees absolutely mashing the ball up and down the lineup, they swing and they miss an awful lot. And DeGrom, just absolutely nasty so far this year. Could he be that ultimate, what's that award, comeback player of the year, which I think is hilarious since he's a, I don't know, multiple Cy Young award winner. What is he coming back? But as long as he is healthy, I do think, and I've been screaming it here for weeks, the Texas Rangers, they can get Corey Seager back, kind of straighten some things out there at the plate. I still like the Rangers in that division there to come from behind and do some damage. So we got plenty of Major League Baseball, including the Dodgers finally getting one. Felt like the Dodgers hadn't won in forever. They got one last night. The problem is they got Arizona and Corbin Burns tonight. Dustin May going for the Dodgers. And listen, they weren't going to go undefeated. There is always going to be stretches in a 162-game season in which things might not work all that well. I don't see Dusty May getting over 4.5 Ks. Corbin Burns might have some success here. Very top-heavy lineup for the Dodgers. That number at 5.5 at plus money. It's the bottom half of that Dodgers lineup. I think that he'll have some success against. Knows them well. I do think that the Diamondbacks at a pretty good plus price. Total in this game is 9. Where are the runs coming from? Do the Dodger hitters get to Corbin Burns, or do the Diamondbacks get to May? I think the Diamondbacks will get to May before the Dodgers get to Burns here. So like that opportunity for the dog tonight with the Arizona Diamondbacks. And we've got much more still to come. Another hour as we get you ready, of course, for Madison Square Garden in Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals. We just watched Oklahoma City handle business last night and hold serve at home against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Is that what the Knicks plan on doing here? Or will we get a situation like we saw with the Florida Panthers on the road against Carolina, stealing home ice? Much more to dive into. Get ready. Another hour of Game Time Decisions coming up.
buy or sell Devers will be traded this season. Let's also not forget that there's $300 million on the table due to Devers, which eliminates him from, what would you say, like 17 teams?
Oh, I would think more than 17, maybe 27. Oh, that's a joke. But how many teams could afford him? All right, 5, 6. How many teams need a third baseman who can't play third base? You know, how many people want to deal with his attitude? He hasn't come off looking good in any of this. Whether you believe he should have anyway, he doesn't look good at this. Will he be traded? No, he won't be traded. The salary alone makes it highly unlikely. He's a great hitter. All right, no doubt he can hit. But other than that, there's too many between the money and the attitude and no really position for him here. He's not getting dealt anytime soon.
Buy or sell, if the season ended today, Hunter Brown would win the American League Cy Young Award.
Hunter Brown has been fantastic. All right, the guy that Craig's teasing, by the way, is Tariq Skubal of the Detroit Tigers here, who's certainly right up there with them. Max Fried for the Yankees has had a fantastic season. They finally lost a start where he pitched in against Seattle. They'd won every start. He's been fantastic. The season ended today with Hunter Brown winning the American Cy Young Award. I certainly couldn't argue it if he did. That being said, he's going up against Skubal, who won it last year, going up against Fried of the Yankees. My guess is that he'll need a year. You understand what I'm saying? He needs a year before he can get that kind of recognition if he's tied with somebody. If he's clearly ahead, then I think he would win here. But as of right now, would he win it? I'm going to say no. I'm going to say it would be probably Max Fried.
Fantasy Sports Today. Weekends starting at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. Only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome in. A very happy Wednesday to you. It is Game Time Decisions here on the SportsGrid Network. I'm Joe Raineri, and we are getting ready. T-minus, just about 60 minutes or so as the playoffs will take center stage, both in the NBA at Madison Square Garden with the New York Knicks in Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals hosting the Indiana Pacers. And then the puck will drop in Dallas as we've got a repeat, a bit of a rivalry, as we just watched this last year in the Western Conference Finals with the Edmonton Oilers traveling to Dallas to take on the Stars. A lot to unpack here. We're looking forward to a great night, certainly on the ice, as we welcome in our good friend Joe Madden, who is, well, she already knows I've been grinning for about the last week or so as my Florida Panthers continue to get better as the playoffs roll on. And last night was no exception, Joe. It was kind of laughable. Again, it was, Florida might be all right, but it's, they just played a 7-game series against, didn't bother them in the least bit. 5-2 dismantling of Carolina. Carolina looked like a deer caught in the headlights last night. Frederick Anderson versus Bobrovsky. To me, that's what this series is ultimately going to be about. Who do we trust here more than anybody else, Joe?
Oh, absolutely. It's the Florida Panthers with what they were able to do last night. Joe, going into the series, I had them to take that series, and I did think it would go all the way to 6 with Carolina not getting the win in the first game. I'm rethinking that. I do think it's either a sweep or a gentleman's sweep there in that series. They just overpowered the Carolina Hurricanes, and we look at Carolina's path, and that was my biggest question mark for this team through the New Jersey Devils and then the Washington Capitals. They haven't faced a team like the Florida Panthers, and like you said, Joe, this team is getting healthier and better each and every single game out there on the ice. So I think Carolina is in big trouble. They've had so much home ice advantage, and they weren't able to get it done last night. And like you said, they look like a deer in a headlight. So I do think they're in trouble for this series. I think Florida finishes it off pretty quick now.
Listen, they had the best home ice advantage, best home record all year long, Carolina, and it was eye-opening to say the least here. But the question is, if we like Florida to advance to the finals, are we getting a rematch, Joe, with Edmonton who is all of a sudden, both these teams, Dallas tonight and Edmonton, finally healthy on both sides. So what does that mean? Are we getting 6, 7 games in this one as well?
I think we're getting 6. I did take the series to finish in 6. That's coming in at plus 195. And I do think you're looking at that rematch here. You can take the Edmonton Oilers to win the series coming in at minus 118. I like that better than combining it with them to win it in 6. I know you're going to get more value with Edmonton to win it in 6, but I think minus 118 there. And then you just take this series to finish in 6 at plus 195. But the Edmonton Oilers just keep getting stronger and stronger. The Kings should have close them out in that first round, not allowed this team to get healthy. You look at Edmonton and the depth that they are showing up and down those lines, Joe. I do think we have a repeat of last season, but it could be a different outcome. I hate to say that because I love the Florida Panthers. If any team's bringing the cup back to Canada and it's Edmonton, as a Flames fan, that's going to absolutely destroy me, but I think it could be in the making this year.
I'm interested tonight because I thought the total would have hit to 6.5 at some point, and I saw it opened up 5.5. It's been bet up to 6. That's where it is here. But Dallas loves to play those, grind it out. They only had 12 goals in 6 games against Winnipeg, and Rantanen was responsible for 7 of them? So is this going to be, everyone thought this was going to be the high scoring series. Is it?
I do think we have some games that are lower scoring in this, but because we're going 6, we have to average 6 goals a game in 6 for that 6 bet to be in place. And I do think we can get there to go over 35.5 goals, which is where FanDuel is putting it. I do expect one of those, 5-4 style games, and I expect a 2-1 style game, but the majority of these games to finish right on that number of 6. Joe, you look at goaltending, and I still, even though Skinner was able to get a shutout in the last 2 versus the Vegas Golden Knights, I look at the depth here of the Dallas Stars, and they're going to be firing at him from all 4 lines. And then Edmonton, that power play wasn't converting versus the Vegas Golden Knights, and they were still able to come out, get the win there, and put the puck in the back of the net. Their 5-on-5 play has been great. So I think they're going to score on Jake Ottinger, who has been very solid in the playoffs, but I'm looking for more goals in this series, and I think it's a back and forth offensive production, even though we got great defenses on both sides.
Well, we definitely have some defenses here. I would think the lower scoring games certainly favor Dallas, but talk to me about some props here tonight. Who is scoring in your opinion here, and what are we going to look at here tonight?
Yeah, so looking at tonight's matchup, I do expect Edmonton to open this one up. I could see this being a 1-0 first period for the Edmonton Oilers, but also a 2-1 style first period here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at them in the first period straight up on that money line, but the 3-way money line, so you don't get the push. That is coming in at plus 195. And then I've got to look at Evander Kane. Evander Kane coming out so strong in the playoffs. Now, he's only got 4 points in the playoffs, 2 goals and 2 assists, and points in both series versus the Kings in Vegas, but you're seeing him really step up to that next level. We're seeing those shots out of him, and with the depth here of the Edmonton Oilers, he is on that top defensive pairing. I think we're going to see Evander Kane come out nice and strong in this matchup tonight and be able to find the back of the net. So I'm looking at him for the point. He's coming in at plus 178, and if you guys want to get a little spicy, you can take him for 2+ points. That's coming in at just over 1,000 right now on FanDuel, because I do think Evander Kane, he comes out just flying in this matchup tonight. And you can look at so many players out here for both of these teams, but as soon as you go off, Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl for the Edmonton Oilers, you're going to get value. You look at Ryan Nugent-Hopkins on that top line with Connor McDavid, he has value for his goal. And then when we look over at the Dallas Stars, yes, Mikko Rantanen should be able to get points, but we're not getting enough value. I like looking at Wyatt Johnson. I think Wyatt Johnson here for the series as well as for the game tonight is a great way to look.
Yeah, I think they need to get Jason Robertson going, Joe, don't they? I mean, I think he led the team, Dallas, this year in goals. He was hurt, right? So, but he didn't score against Winnipeg at all. It's good to have him back, but it feels like they need him to, at some point, get off the schneid and get a goal here. And you're getting a pretty good price on a guy that led the team at plus 300, 270 for an anytime goal in this game.
You absolutely are, but I kind of shake my head with what's happening with Jason Robinson out there with what we saw in that last series. I don't think he's at 100%, and I would look at his teammates then for those points. I think both of these power plays are going to be able to convert. So we're looking at Jason Robinson, left wing of that center line, Matt Duchene, and then Wyatt Johnston on the other side. I'd look at Wyatt Johnston for that power play point. So then if Jason Robinson gets the goal, we're going to see Wyatt get the assist or vice versa. And then we don't have to stress about just what's happening out there with Jason Robinson, because I can't put my finger on it, but something just isn't looking right.
Yeah, no, it's very weird. Doesn't look like the usual there. But now I love having you on, Joe, because now I have to take Wyatt Johnson first goal of the game at plus 1,100. So way to go,
Last
Joe. I'll
two
never
games.
forgive myself. Yes. How
Last
much?
2 games versus the Oilers. Take it. He's opened up the
Taking
scoring
it
jar.
at plus 1,100. I am all about it, Joe. I appreciate you stopping in, and we'll celebrate as soon as he scores the first goal in this game here tonight. Enjoy it, Joe. We got more Game Time Decisions coming up next here on the Grid.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune in to Game Time Decisions weekdays on SportsGrid.
The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of 15.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip, try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
All right, welcome back in Game Time Decisions here on the SportsGrid Network as we get ready for the playoffs. Nothing like it. Conference finals are here. We had and were treated to a couple of blowouts last night, both in the NHL as the Panthers took game one from the Carolina Hurricanes 5-2. And then, of course, the Oklahoma City Thunder, the number one seed in the Western Conference, handled their business against the Minnesota Timberwolves. It was not pretty early, but late, it didn't really matter as they blew right past Minnesota. Game 2 coming up tomorrow, but we get to do it all over again here tonight. Only this time, Madison Square Garden is going to be center stage. Let's welcome in our good friend Adam Kaufman here, who will get to see the New York Knicks and the Indiana Pacers for a second time in a year. You know, here we go. Last year, we watched the Knicks drop like flies, I think. Everybody got hurt in every game. I still don't think they have enough depth, but can they get their revenge on the Pacers, not just tonight, but in this series?
Well, look, can they? Sure, because as you mentioned, last year they were dropping like flies. This year, generally speaking, they're healthy. Most importantly, their most significant player, the clutch player of the year, Jalen Brunson. That being said, do I expect it? I really don't. I feel like the books have this one priced wrong. That's not to say the Pacers should be a favorite in this series, but I don't know. Plus money at the tune that you can get them at, depending on where you shop around. I like Indiana to win this series, Joe. I think they're the better team, or at least they are playing better right now. You know, they've gone each of their first 2 series, gentlemen sweeps in their favor. You can make the argument they've gone against injury-plagued teams, first the Bucks and then the Cavaliers, and that would be totally fair. But the Knicks, their last round, in the process of taking out the Celtics, who had injuries in their own right, of course, I just don't think New York's playing all that well. Indiana, I think, is playing a terrific, confident, almost egotistical brand of basketball right now. And I say that, though, in a complimentary way. I think they're just top of the world. Like, they don't feel like anybody, including Oklahoma City, could stand in their way at the moment. The Knicks, they're just kind of in survival mode. They survived the Pistons in round 1. It took some late game heroics to do so. Obviously, all those comebacks, not the Pacers didn't have some of those as well throughout their playoff run, but all those comebacks against the Celtics, and all the while, you know, they just, I've said this I don't know how many times over, and people are probably tired of hearing me say it, but I don't think the Knicks played a good series against the Celtics. You know, obviously they won it, but I don't think they were dramatically better than Boston. I think the Celtics were just bitten largely by shot variance and their three-pointers not falling. They still got all the open looks they wanted. They just couldn't execute. The Knicks, you know, Brunson obviously has been a little up and down, but generally speaking, that's a guy that I'm willing to trust. On the other side, though, Halliburton's been awesome. I think the Pacers win this series. Now, do they win game 1 tonight? We'll see. You know, you got rest on both sides, ultimately. I think the Knicks deserve to be favorites in game 1. They are obviously hosts for this game, and Madison Square Garden can be a tough place to play. But we have contrasting styles here. A Knicks team that generally is a little bit more methodical, and a Pacers team that, pun intended, moves at a high pace. You know, this is a top 3 pace team during the regular season, and they have been clearing their individual team total overs with ease here in the postseason, 8 out of the last 10 games. So I would go over on the Pacers team total independent of whether they win this game tonight, and I think you can still get right around 110.5.
It feels like, and tell me if, what you think, but it feels like last night, and whatever the outcome is tonight, this feels like both the series we should consider zigzagging our way through right to the finals, because Minnesota's not going to look as terrible as they did last night. Again, Oklahoma City is not going to just run through the Minnesota Timberwolves, and no matter who wins here tonight, it feels like we'll have a pretty good opportunity for that team, whoever loses, to bounce back tomorrow. I think the zigzag's in effect here with these 2 series.
So I'm going to half push back because I only half agree with you. I think the zigzag effect is in play in the Eastern Conference. While I believe in the Pacers, I'm not going to be shocked if the Knicks win. What I do think is we get a long series, and I think 7 is a fair expectation. 6 at a minimum. I think the zigzag is absolutely in play here. I've been screaming from the mountaintops, though, Joe, that I think the Thunder are going to make mincemeat out of the Timberwolves. I think they are so dramatically better than the T-Wolves, and I think you saw it when it, you know, came to sort of nut-cutting time in the second half of that game last night. You know, they went from, you know, down by a few to up by 20 in the blink of an eye. You know, Shea finally turned it on after a terrible first half, the MVP, as we will find out officially a little bit later on tonight. So that's not to say I don't think Minnesota takes a game, probably happens in Minnesota, but I think Oklahoma City wins that series in 5. I'll even be a little bit surprised after what I saw last night if it goes 6. So I don't like the zigzag in that one. But in this series that we're going to see starting tonight, I agree with you.
Yeah, I watched them win by 40 against Denver, too, and had that work out. That's the problem with Oklahoma City to me is that, yeah, when they look and blow teams out, they look unbelievable. But then all of a sudden it's like, what in the world is this team doing? And I just think it's experience with them. I think they'll get better as it progresses, but there's no doubt OKC isn't going anywhere anytime soon. We might as well get used to seeing them a lot in these spots here. You think that's a 5-game series then? Maybe we should look at 4-1? Is that an OKC 4-1? That's got to be a pretty decent number.
Yeah, I don't know where it sits right now, but it's one that I was talking about going into the series, and it was sitting at almost 4-1, and that was actually your favorite. It was kind of a funny dichotomy from the books with respect to, getting into the correct score, correct number of games market, because the best odds were on, in terms of correct score, Oklahoma City in 5. However, the best odds in terms of number of games were 6. If you were just saying like throw out who wins, just what's the shortest number on number of games, it was 6, but the best odds were on OKC in 5. Yeah, so the books were kind of, giving you a little bit of a contrast there and almost baiting you into betting both. The way I would have gone into it, and you've lost obviously value in the number at this point in time, OKC in 5, OKC in 6, bet them both, figure one's going to hit.
We'll talk some props coming up. Game time decisions here on the grid.
Buy or sell, Devers will be traded this season. Let's also not forget that there's $300 million on the table due to Devers, which eliminates him from, what would you say, like 17 teams?
Oh, I would think more than 17, maybe 27. That's a joke, but how many teams could afford him? All right, 5, 6. How many teams needed a third baseman who can't play third base? How many people want to deal with his attitude? He hasn't come off looking good in any of this. Whether you believe he should have anyway, he doesn't look good at this. Will he be traded? No, he won't be traded. The salary alone makes it highly unlikely. He's a great hitter. All right, no doubt he can hit. But other than that, there's too many between the money and the attitude and no really position for him here. He's not getting dealt anytime soon.
Buy or sell, if the season ended today, Hunter Brown would win the American League Cy Young Award.
Hunter Brown has been fantastic. All right, the guy that Craig's teasing, by the way, is Tariq Skubal of the Detroit Tigers here, who's certainly right up there with them. Max Fried for the Yankees has had a fantastic season. They finally lost a start where he pitched in against Seattle the other day. They'd won every start. He's been fantastic. The season ended today with Hunter Brown winning the American Cy Young Award. I certainly couldn't argue it if he did. That being said, he's going up against Skubal, who won it last year, going up against Fried of the Yankees. My guess is he'll need a year. You understand what I'm saying? He needs a year before he can get that kind of recognition if he's tied with somebody. If he's clearly ahead, then I think he would win here. But as of right now, would he win it? I'm going to say no. I'm going to say it would be probably Max Fried.
Fantasy Sports Today. Weekends starting at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. Only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back in. Game Time Decisions here on the SportsGrid Network as we welcome back in our good friend Adam Kaufman here, getting ready for the playoffs tonight. Game 1 of the Eastern Conference. Pacers taking on the Knicks. Been a hot minute since we saw the Pacers take the court, but no doubt what we have gotten from this Pacers team has been pretty special in the playoffs. But I think it's ironic, Adam, because it feels like the market is pretending like, oh, this won't last. This is just a mirage with it. But yet, ever since the All-Star break, this has been one of the best teams in the NBA over the last 3 months. So this is not new. Plus, they have more experience from a year ago. They've got the better coach in the series. Having said that, who are the guys we should be focusing on from a prop betting perspective here for Indiana and the Knicks?
Yeah, it's interesting because the Pacers are not going to win the championship. The Thunder are going to win the championship. But if, let's say, hypothetically, the Pacers were to win, that's about as close NBA championship-wise as you have to like the 04 Pistons in terms of being a team that, is good, is solid, certainly has depth and has talent, but doesn't have that superstar. Like, you could make the case Jalen Brunson. You can obviously SGA, Anthony Edwards, but I think there are a lot of people that are very resistant to putting Tyrese Halliburton in that category. And, I mean, hell, what was the player vote at the end of the regular season? Halliburton was voted the most overrated player in the league. So, I mean, that tells you everything you need to know about how, never mind the public, idiots like us, how his peers think of him. That being said, I'd like to look at Tyrese Halliburton specifically over on his three-point market, which is only at 2.5 minus 102. This is a dude, you mentioned it. These two teams played in the playoffs last year, and in that time, Halliburton took 10 three-pointers per game over the course of that 7-game series, and he made 29 of them. He was lighting it up from long range, and I think that is, not an outlier. I mean, maybe the actual outcome of it will be in terms of hitting 29 in 7 games, but in terms of the approach, the volume, in terms of getting 8, 9, 10, 11 up per game in this series, I think that is exactly what the Pacers and Halliburton want to do. So if that happens at some point in this series, probably early on, that number is going to climb to 3.5, and people are going to get a little jaded of it. Do we take 4 but 3 at basically even money, 3+? I like that a lot. So that's where I want to go on the Pacers side.
I'm watching the board right now, and it's lighting up, Adam, as the continuing to get under money. You don't forget, this thing got ballooned up to 223.5, 224 earlier today. It had been nothing but over money, and now I'm getting 2 flat 221s. I'm even seeing 220.5s popping up in the market here. So the under money is rolling in. I got a Knicks team total at 113.5 and 108.5 for Indiana. Who's likely to go over their team total? Are we even going to get either of those with all this under money coming in? Is this first one to 105?
Well, you and I, we talk about this all the time, right? The correlation between the two things in terms of what do you expect to happen. If you think the Knicks are going to take game 1, I wouldn't blame anyone for feeling that way, then I would probably look toward an under. That means New York obviously found a way to slow the game down, and most especially slow the Pacers down in terms of the rate at which that they run and they shoot and they get these volume of shots up and routinely clear 110 points, etc. If you think the Pacers are going to steal this one at MSG to open up the series, I would lean toward the over. I think there's a direct correlation there because it means they're probably scoring at will, and maybe things could be, if it's a blowout win, maybe it means the Knicks didn't do their part and you fail to hit the under that or the over that way. But I just think that it's the whole narrative street based. Tell yourself a story. How's the game going to go way that you would want to invest in the total? Personally, I don't want to invest in the total at all. But if I had to, I would lean toward the over because independent of whether they win or lose, I think the Pacers keep this thing close. And if they're doing that, it means they're scoring, probably exceeding their team total, as I talked about earlier.
108.5 is if I like the Pacers, I like them scoring at least 110 points, if not more here. I think they are a live dog, Adam. I am with you on that one there. But the market continuing to bet this thing down, 220.5s going up across the board. Well, the good news is we've got about 31 minutes before the tip at Madison Square Garden. We won't have to wait that long. We'll see you a little bit later, Adam Kaufman, as Game Time Decisions continues on the grid.
buy or sell, Devers will be traded this season. Let's also not forget that there's $300 million on the table due to Devers, which eliminates him from, what would you say, like 17 teams?
Oh, I would think more than 17, maybe 27. That's a joke, but how many teams could afford him? All right, 5, 6. How many teams need a third baseman who can't play third base? You know, how many people want to deal with his attitude? He hasn't come off looking good in any of this. Whether you believe he should have anyway, he doesn't look good at this. Will he be traded? No, he won't be traded. The salary alone makes it highly unlikely. He's a great hitter. All right, no doubt he can hit. But other than that, there's too many between the money and the attitude and no really position for him here. He's not getting dealt anytime soon.
Buy or sell, if the season ended today, Hunter Brown would win the American League Cy Young Award.
Hunter Brown has been fantastic. All right, the guy that Craig's teasing, by the way, is Tariq Skubal of the Detroit Tigers here, who's certainly right up there with them. Max Fried for the Yankees has had a fantastic season. They finally lost a start where he pitched in against Seattle the other day. They'd won every start. He's been fantastic. The season ended today. Would Hunter Brown win the American Cy Young Award? I certainly couldn't argue it if he did. That being said, he's going up against Skubal, who won it last year, going up against Fried of the Yankees. My guess is he would, that he'll need a year. You understand what I'm saying? He needs a year before he can get that kind of recognition if he's tied with somebody. If he's clearly ahead, then I think he would win here. But as of right now, would he win it? I'm going to say no. I'm going to say it would be probably Max Fried.
Fantasy Sports Today. Weekends starting at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. Only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome in. Game Time Decisions here on the SportsGrid Network. A very happy Wednesday as we get ready, of course, the conference finals in both the NBA and the NHL taking center stage over the next week. We've got plenty of Major League Baseball action. The Mets finally scored a run, shocker, 1-0 there over Garrett Crochet and the Boston Red Sox. We're just coming out of what was a great PGA championship, one which, stop me if you've heard this before, Scotty Scheffler won. So we've got two majors in the books, but we also have another interesting and classic PGA tournament coming up, the Charles Schwab. Let's bring in our good friend Brady Cannon, who witnessed, like the rest of us, it really doesn't matter. You can pull every shot to the left, Brady, it doesn't matter. You still ain't beating Scotty Scheffler. Even when he doesn't have his A game, it's good enough to win a major, which I think is pretty scary heading into a week in which he's another plus 200 favorite to win this tournament.
Unbelievable, Joe. Here he comes again. We were wondering, this first part of the golf season, if he was going to show up, if he was going to be the same Scotty we've witnessed for the past couple of seasons. Well, here he is. He's back incomplete and now going for his third win in 3 straight starts. And you're right, since the PGA, his odds have been cut in half. I think this is the lowest I've ever seen him for a full field tournament, at just a little bit better than 2-1. And at BetMGM, Joe, they're not afraid of the price. He has 62% of the handle at BetMGM. Unbelievable. Number one in ticket count, number one in handle, and he is BetMGM's biggest liability, which he was last week at the PGA as well. So I imagine they took a hit there with that victory. But, we were on Bryson DeChambeau and Harris English, who both finished runner-up, and it never felt that close. You got to the 3 hardest holes on the golf course on Saturday, and Bryson made a mess of them. And then on Sunday, John Rahm made a mess of them. And meanwhile, Scotty Scheffler goes through them like they're just any other holes of golf, And I mean, the guy he's quite the front runner, is he? I mean, this reminds me of that guy that used to wear red on Sundays. We've been saying that, and boy, it starts to look the part more and more.
3 majors before 30. I think it's just him. Jack and Tiger were the guys that do it in that fashion. It's just unbelievable here what he has been able to do. So the question is, Listen, if he's going to win every tournament, then why not? You're going to give me free money at plus 200, plus 300. I might as well bet him. Should I bet him in this? Do we like him to actually win this tournament after a major?
It's kind of like I said at the Byron Nelson a couple weeks ago, which he did go on to win in dominant fashion, that, it's either going to be a long shot or it's going to be Scotty. And it's not as much of a long shot situation this week. There's some real class players in this field, but I just can't get there at 2-1. But yeah, I took Daniel Berger, our friend from Florida State, right? And I knew he was going to be very popular this week. He's one of the best players in the field. He makes a ton of sense for this golf course. He's won at Colonial before. And I wrote up in my article at golf.com, I'm like, so, you crunch all the numbers and Daniel Berger is comes up second in everything to Scotty Scheffler. I said, he'll probably finish second to Scotty Scheffler in the tournament as well. So I mean, you got to put up the market every week, without Scotty. Who's going to finish second? It's like Larry Bird at the 3-point contest. Which one of you guys is finishing second? So no, I didn't bet him. I took Berger. I took Maverick McNeely. JT Poston, who had a great PGA, finished 5th last week at Quail Hollow. Harry Hall, who nearly won here at Colonial a few years ago. Thorbjorn Olesen, guy has been around a long time, had a hiatus on the DP World Tour, got in trouble for being a little drunk and belligerent on an airplane a while back, but he is now back in form, many years removed since that unfortunate incident. And starting to play really well again. Had a great week at the PGA, got him at 80-1, and then Nico Echeverria at 135-1. And I've seen his number come way down. People are all over this guy this week, which can mean that the sharps are on him, which can be a good thing, or that too many people are on him and you worry about that stuff. But I've seen his number crash all the way to like 80-1.
So what are we saying again for what does Vegas think we're going to get? What wins this tournament? What's won it in the past? Is this a birdie fest?
It's not, actually. It's a par 70. And, they had a U.S. Open here in 1941, and they call this place Hogan's Alley. Ben Hogan won here a record 5 times. So, I called this the legend trifecta. We go from Byron Nelson to Ben Hogan, and then next week is Jack Nicklaus's place for the memorial. And the redesigned team of Gil Hanse and Jim Wagner came in here a couple of years ago, and they tried to restore this place back to what it was like in the 40s for that U.S. Open, and looking more rugged and a little rough around the edges, and some canyons and barrancas running through the course, and bringing the Trinity River back into play. Over time, the last 50, 60, 70 years, they've kind of turned this more into country club resort style nature, and they wanted to bring it back to its roots. And apparently it's been incredibly well received by the players and the membership. So, it's narrow, it's claustrophobic. It's got a lot of dog legs. You've got to work your ball in both directions. And then you got to have accuracy. It's not a bomber's place. It's, barely 7,300 yards and a par 70. And so last year, Davis Riley held off Scotty Scheffler and beat him.
Yeah.
And a couple of years ago, Sam Burns held off Scotty Scheffler and beat him. So Scheffler's been awful good here, but hasn't won here yet. And those winning scores have been like 14, 13, 15. And here in Vegas, our friend Jeff Sherman at the Superbook hung 13.5 for your winning score. Wow. So that tells me it's going to be pretty interesting this week.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. So who are you focusing on? You got some matchups or first round leaders? What are you looking at? How you putting it together?
Yeah, I didn't play any first round leaders. I mentioned Berger, McNeely, Poston, Hall, Olesen, and Echeverria for the outrights, and then actually played 2 of those guys in a head-to-head as well. I played Maverick McNeely at -105, a short underdog to Jordan Spieth. Now, Spieth's won here before, always plays well in the home state of Texas, but I like McNeely as a dog. I make that matchup basically a pick 'em. Maybe McNeely's even a slight favorite. I don't know if I'd go that far, but as a dog, I like McNeely. And then Olesen, I mentioned Thorbjorn Olesen, got him at +115 over Brian Harman. We know Harmon won recently, but really, other than that, has been a very vanilla year for a major champion a couple years ago at the Open Championship, and again, a nice juicy dog price on a guy that's playing really well right now. I thought that one made sense as well.
Well, didn't Davis finish? Davis Riley, the guy who won last year, he played pretty well at the PGA, did he not? What was he, top 10?
Absolutely. Yeah, he was tied runner up with Bryson and Harris English.
Wow.
Yeah, so I mean, you had 3 guys tie for second, but it didn't feel that way, right? I mean, Scotty just I mean, he was playing the 18th hole with a 6-shot lead. So I tell you what, Joe, I used to really get frustrated. I used to really get frustrated watching Tiger back in the day going, gosh, I wish I had some more drama. We just know what's going to happen. Yeah. But then you kind of reflect back and you realize what you were watching. And it kind of feels that way with Scotty. It's like we're watching something really different.
Listen, as great as Tiger was, what we watched, Brady, week in and week out, was guys on Sunday melt. And they had already lost. Before they even stepped on the tee, they had already lost. And it felt like I watched that again on Sunday where John Rahm melting away, DeChambeau melting away. I mean, he only shot even par, and you left it wide open for him, and nobody wanted to go get him. So
he just doesn't make mistakes. He's unflappable.
No,
he's
not going to beat himself.
Never comes back to the pack. Right? Exactly. You got to go get him.
You got to go get him. Unreal, Brady. We appreciate it as always, my man. Game Time Decisions continues on the grid.
Buy or sell, Devers will be traded this season. Let's also not forget that there's $300 million on the table due to Devers, which eliminates him from, what would you say, like 17 teams?
Oh, I would think more than 17, maybe 27. That's a joke, but how many teams could afford him? All right, 5, 6. How many teams need a third baseman who can't play third base? How many people want to deal with his attitude? He hasn't come off looking good in any of this. Whether you believe he should have anyway, he doesn't look good at this. Will he be traded? No, he won't be traded. The salary alone makes it highly unlikely. He's a great hitter. No doubt he can hit. But other than that, there's too many between the money and the attitude and no really position for him here. He's not getting dealt anytime soon.
Buy or sell, if the season ended today, Hunter Brown would win the American League Cy Young Award.
Hunter Brown has been fantastic. All right, the guy that Craig's teasing, by the way, is Tariq Skubal of the Detroit Tigers here, who's certainly right up there with them. Max Fried for the Yankees has had a fantastic season. They finally lost a start where he pitched in against Seattle the other day. They'd won every start. He's been fantastic. The season ended today with Hunter Brown winning the American Cy Young Award. I certainly couldn't argue it if he did. That being said, he's going up against Skubal, who won it last year, going up against Fried of the Yankees. My guess is that he'll need a year. You understand what I'm saying? He needs a year before he can get that kind of recognition if he's tied with somebody. If he's clearly ahead, then I think he would win here. But as of right now, would he win it? I'm going to say no. I'm going to say it would be probably Max Fried.
Fantasy Sports Today. Weekends starting at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. Only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in here. Game Time Decisions on the SportsGrid Network as we are getting ready. Just about 15 minutes away from the opening tip, game one of the Eastern Conference Final between the New York Knicks and the Indiana Pacers. And then we're going to get the puck dropping in game one of the Western Conference Finals in the NHL with Dallas and Edmonton. Good news is coming up at the top of the hour, we'll pass the baton off to our good friend Scotty Wetzel And in-game live will take center stage for you guys, covering all the action. Let's welcome in Scott on what is going to be a loaded night. I mean, we've got some actually halfway decent Major League Baseball games underway right now. DeGrom in the Bronx right now, down 1-0. The Mets actually scored a run. Can you believe that? And then we got the NBA and the NHL here. So it's a good night, but take me to Madison Square Garden here, man. Are you believing the hype with this New York Knicks team?
No, I'm believing the hype with the Indiana Pacer team, Joe. I'm on the Pacers. I like them tonight. I like them in this series. I do like the over as well. I just think they're the better team. I mean, listen, you can make a case both teams were fortunate, I'll say, to win their previous round. But, you know, the Celtics in particular really just gave the game away, up 30 points twice. I know Indiana rallied a couple times, double digits down against Cleveland. But for all intents and purposes, you know, the Knicks really shouldn't be here. But they are, but I think this is their limit. Indiana's been playing great basketball, one of the best records since January 1st. They had a better record than Cleveland, believe it or not, since January 1st. That's how good they are. They're unbeatable at home. Knicks are mediocre at home. So I think overall, Indiana can win in New York. I don't think New York will win in Indiana. I give the edge to the Pacers. And I think they win tonight. I'm going to grab them plus the 4.5 points. And I do like the over as well. You see there in the Pacers, you grab it now because that'll be probably Indiana minus 120 or so, 130 if they win tonight. But I do think we're going to get some points tonight. Like the over. I like the over in the series. It's been 4-1 last 5 meetings, over. So I think we're going to get some points. I think it should be a great series, though. I do believe that. But I like Indiana, long story short.
It feels like the zigzag's going to be alive and well in this series, Scotty, no matter who wins game one. Looking for a bounce back. It feels like it's going to be these two teams know each other very well. I saw the team totals with the Knicks at 113.5 and the Pacers at 108.5. And I mean, Scotty, we got nothing but under money. I'm seeing 220.5s right now in the marketplace as the under money comes rolling in. I guess if you like the Knicks, that's why you're betting the under, but I'm not buying it. Are you?
No, I mean, even if you looked at the series last year, and I don't think what happened last year is going to happen this year, but last year you got a couple of unders thrown in there, but they were because of blowouts. The winning team, I think, except for one game, scored 120 points, but there were a few games of 121 to 89, 121 to 92, and there was one other score in there. So you did get a couple of unders, but I think this year it's going to be much more competitive. I don't think either team's going to blow the other team out. And you're right. The money's on the under, but not my money. Let me see this go under because I think it's going to be a competitive game. And if that's the case, I think it's going over.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I also think we saw it last night, right? We had a chance to watch the road team, the Florida Panthers, do what they do and just steamroll the Carolina Hurricanes. Edmonton rested, healthy. Dallas rested, healthy now. A battle that we saw a year ago. What happens in game one here tonight?
Yeah, give me Edmonton, right? It's pick 'em. It's basically been an even series, 5-5 their last 10 meetings, obviously dating back to a couple of years ago. Both teams have been able to win on the other team's home ice, so there's really no great home ice advantage here. So, yeah, it's more just you want to give me plus 105 versus laying $125. Why would I take the minus 125? I think Edmonton's the better team. They eliminated them last year. A lot of mismatches. Again, we had some unders in these series this season and in the last couple of years, but it's all because of 4-1, 5-1s. For some strange reason, they haven't played the 4-3, 4, 5-5-4 games. So it's kind of weird. But I like Edmonton. Give me the over 2.5 goals, Edmonton, and minus 164 just because of that. And I'll throw a little block shots prop at you. Issa Lindell, over 2.5 block shots at Pick'em. He leads the team in block shots. He was 4th or 5th in the NHL this regular season in block shots. There's no way this dude's not getting at least 3 block shots tonight. So over Lindell block shots for Edmonton.
Great late night slate of games in Major League Baseball. Philadelphia, I'm assuming, is going to beat Colorado. Why not? But Arizona with Corbin Burns on the mound against the Dodgers. Are you buying another series loss here by the Dodgers?
I tell you, I'm at the point, Joe, with LA that I'm not going to bet on them every single night. We were following along just to have some fun. Let's just bet, let's see how it turns out, right? It's basically about even. When everything is said and done, you're down a couple dollars, but you were way up. But I can't do that anymore. but I will go with the under. I don't know why this is 9. And I liked it the first 5, and the first 5 was 5. Burns has been unbelievable. Wow. It took him a couple of starts to get going, but he's been great. He's pitched back-to-back shutouts. So I don't know how this is getting to 10 runs tonight, and I really don't know how it's getting to more than 5 in the first 5 if you don't want to, if you don't want to worry about the bullpens. So officially, I'll go under 9, but I know it's got sucker written all over it. It really does. Something, one of these two pitchers figures to implode with that number, but I'll bite. Give me under 9, Arizona, LA.
And you like the Angels have been quietly red hot here. Scotty, you like them to continue against Sears and the Athletics tonight?
Yeah, winners bet with streaks, Joe. Losers bet against streaks. It's as simple as that. Angels have won 5 in a row. A's have lost 7 in a row. So the worst teams in the world, except for Colorado, generally have like a decent streak in them. Maybe this is it for the Angels. They sweep the Dodgers, which is unbelievable. They win 1 against the A's. They don't win at home. Oakland/Sacramento. They're 1-6 last 7 home games. They're awful at home. So, yeah, a couple of shekels on the Angels. Why not? We won't say that too often this year.
It's 85 degrees in Sacramento tonight. Something tells me we're going to get a few runs in that game, too. If it ain't broke, why are we fixing it in that spot as well? So got a little something for everyone here tonight, Scotty. We got Major League Baseball games. The Yankees playing Texas and DeGrom. It's 1-0 Texas, Yankees rather, in that one. The Mets finally scored a run. So you're going to have your hands full coming up here, man. A lot to cover. We appreciate it as always. You'll see Scotty Wetzel coming up in-game live. We'll cover it all for you, and we'll get you ready for it as Game Time Decisions wraps it up next here on the Grid.
Buy or sell, Devers will be traded this season. Let's also not forget that there's $300 million on the table due to Devers, which eliminates him from, what would you say, like 17 teams?
Oh, I would think more than 17, maybe 27. Oh, that's a joke. But how many teams could afford him? All right, 5, 6. How many teams need a third baseman who can't play third base? How many people want to deal with his attitude? He hasn't come off looking good at any of this. Whether you believe he should have anyway, he doesn't look good at this. Will he be traded? No, he won't be traded. The salary alone makes it highly unlikely. He's a great hitter. All right, no doubt he can hit. But other than that, there's too many between the money and the attitude and no really position for him here. He's not getting dealt anytime soon.
Buy or sell, if the season ended today, Hunter Brown would win the American League Cy Young Award.
Hunter Brown has been fantastic. All right, the guy that Craig's teasing, by the way, is Tariq Skubal of the Detroit Tigers here, who's certainly right up there with them. Max Fried for the Yankees has had a fantastic season. They finally lost the start where he pitched in against Seattle the other day. They'd won every start. He's been fantastic. The season ended today. Would Hunter Brown win the American Cy Young Award? I certainly couldn't argue it if he did. That being said, he's going up against Skubal, who won it last year, going up against Fried of the Yankees. My guess is he wouldn't, that he'll need a year. You understand what I'm saying? He needs a year before he can get that kind of recognition if he's tied with somebody. If he's clearly ahead, then I think he would win here. But as of right now, would he win it? I'm going to say no. I'm going to say it would be probably Max Fried.
Fantasy Sports Today. Weekends starting at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. Only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Time Decisions as we are getting ready here. Just about, 6-7 minutes away. We'll pass the baton off to Scott Wetzel and company as In-Game Live will take over for you here on the SportsGrid Network. They'll have all of the action in both playoff games covered for you here. Of course, Madison Square Garden is where eyes will be focused on in the NBA as the Knicks getting ready to possibly be on their way, if you can believe this, to a finals, an NBA finals with an opportunity to represent the East. Can they? They got to get past the Indiana Pacers, which they couldn't do last year, but they are much healthier and they are a better team this year. They've also been pretty decent at home. Obviously, Madison Square Garden is going to be electric. The celebration already in New York City for the Knicks has hit a fevered pace here. They're renaming streets. I think Jalen Brunson Boulevard. You beat the Boston Celtics in a playoff series, and apparently you get streets named after you now. That is how low the bar is being set for the New York Knicks. However, Indiana is not rolling over for anybody. I can tell you right now, I'd be shocked. I didn't understand it against the Cleveland Cavaliers. I don't understand it in this series. Every statistic that I have gone down, both in the regular season, in the playoffs, including effective field goal percentage, half-court offense, half-court deep, I could not find a situation in which the New York Knicks, either in the regular season or in the playoffs, have better numbers than the Indiana Pacers. Pacers have allowed fewer offensive rebounds than the New York Knicks, both in the regular season and in the playoffs. They have a better effective field goal percentage than the Knicks. They have a lower turnover rate than the New York Knicks. They have a better free throw rate than the New York Knicks. Everywhere I looked, the Pacers have outpaced the New York Knicks, both in the regular season and especially here in the playoffs. I just think this number, I'm all about home court advantage, and I think the Knicks have a pretty good one. But I'm also watching an Indiana Pacers team that had no problem winning not one, not two, but 3 games on the road against another team that had all season long one of the best home court advantages in the Cleveland Cavaliers. And being on the road didn't bother them one bit. I think they have an edge in coaching. I think they have a much deeper team here, which is going to matter, as we all believe that this series is likely going 6 or 7 games. I just think the better team is the Pacers. And I think they will eventually show that as this series gets to game 6 or game 7. Either way, I love the idea of zigzagging my way through this series, because I do think whoever wins tonight, I will be looking to fade them in game 2. So whether the Knicks win or the Pacers win, I think there's a good opportunity to go back and forth all throughout this series. But keep an eye on this total. It got bet all the way up to 224, and now we're looking at 220, 220 and a half. The Knicks, so far in the playoffs, 12 games in the playoffs, 7-5 to the under. So they have been an under team this postseason. They are also a very big under team when they are at home in this price point under Coach Thibs, where they're laying 6 or fewer points, 51, 36, and 1 to the under. The Knicks do not want to get into track meets against anybody, especially at home. They are going to want to slow this tempo down. Whether they have success in doing so remains to be seen. But we know this. Indiana will have no problem, and when they can, they are going to want to get out in transition against this Knicks team. Rebounding seems to be a big concern for those looking to back Indiana. Will they get any second chance opportunities? But again, looking at the numbers, they have held their own against everybody, including a much bigger Cleveland Cavaliers team, and they had no problem competing in that series. So this is going to be a whole lot of fun. The playoffs, the conference finals are getting ready. Madison Square Garden, game 1, Pacers, Knicks, who you have. And of course, get ready for the puck to drop also here in just a couple of minutes as the Dallas Stars at home looking to home ice against the Edmonton Oilers. Game Time Decisions. We'll see you again tomorrow. In-game live straight ahead here on the grid. Enjoy the games.